There we go. All right. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. If you can't, comment down in the chat so I'm aware. Um, my name is Zach. I'm the owner of Tinsel CRM. And we also have Ariane on the call with us today, who's one of our support specialists. Chances are, if you've reached out for support, she's at least seen it, or she's been the one that you've been talking to. So what I plan to do on this call today is to show you everything you need to get started. We'll start with going through the settings, making sure that you have everything set up the right way. After that's all complete, we'll show you how to build or how to create your first client. And then after that, we'll walk through an entire project from start to finish. I'll show you as many features as I possibly can in that time frame. We will have plenty of time at the end for questions, but if you do have a question while I'm doing something, feel free to raise your hand on the Zoom or pop it into the chat. And Ariane is going to monitor the chat. If she answers in the chat, great. If not, she'll just flag me down and I can answer it as we're going along. All right. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Josh can't hear us because he is not. All right, cool. In that case, I'm going to get started. Let me pull up Tinsel and then I will share my screen. I probably should have did this before the call, but that's okay. All right, let's share screen and get started. All right, guys, so when you first get into Tinsel, you're going to be brought to this page. And if you click this little arrow here, it'll expand the sidebar so that you can see what it is that you're, or see what page you're on. Ariane, can you message Josh on the side? He's having some trouble connecting to audio. Can you just message him and make sure he gets brought up? Okay, sorry about that. So on the side, we have obviously our sidebar menu. This is where you're going to go click through and get to all the different pages. On here, we'll start at the dashboard. So this is what you'll be first signed into, what you'll be brought to when you're first signed in. So on the dashboard, we'll start on the right side. We have some insights. So insights have a couple of your financial information on it. So up first, we have accepted proposals. The second column here is going to be your payments that have been accepted on these proposals. And then the last column is the unpaid invoices, essentially. So this column plus this column should equal this column. And we could change the years on this as well. So when you create new projects next year, you'll see 2024 pop up. In the middle here, we have our up next section. This is going to show you all of the jobs that are on the schedule for the next 7 days here. And once we start putting something on the schedule later on, we can circle back and show you what this looks like. But essentially, it'll just be a list of the jobs that you can click into, make sure that everything's done for that job or ready to go. And then on the left here, we have our prospects section. So if you have a form on your website, we can have this set up so that somebody fills out that form. That form sends you an email, but it can also get populated into Tinsel automatically. All right. So I'll show you some more of that in a little bit. And then on the top right here, we have our notifications. So if you just click on that, you'll see all of your notifications. Most of you have probably arrived here through this link in the notification, so you probably know all about that. All right, so let's jump all the way down to our settings. So I want to start there because it's important that you get your settings set up first. All right, so first thing you want to do, come down to your settings, and you're just going to want to work through each tab one by one. A lot of this should be filled out for you already. When you sign up, the sign up process is a little bit long. There's a couple of pages of duplicate information, and that's because it's filling out all these pages for you. So business information is pretty straightforward, business address as well. And then of course you can upload your logo here. You can just click browse, search for the photo you want and upload that. And then below here we have tagging. There's nothing for you really to do here, but these are the different counties or locations that we have. Each project is assigned to a different county, which is where it would get its color from, which I'll show you a little bit later. And if you ever wanted to change that color, you can just come in here and click on the color and change the color. All right, below that, we have some account information. So storage usage, you do get your first 100 gigabytes for free, or included in your subscription, I should say. After that, there's a charge, but nobody yet has even come close. I think I've been using Tinsel for about 4 or 5 years, and I think I'm on like 3 or 4 gigs. So you guys shouldn't have to worry about that. And of course, if you ever want to close your account, you can always just email us at support@Tinsel CRM to close your account, and we'll take care of that for you. All right, next tab is users. So here is where you're going to add all of the people, all of your employees, or at least anybody that's using Tinsel. So you do get your first 10 users included with your subscription. After that, there's a charge of, I think it's $7.50 per user per month, just for the ones that are more than 10, and only for the months that they're active. So if you need to ramp up during Christmas season, you can do that, and then we can turn them back off. So really straightforward to add users. We just go ahead and click on new. We put first name, last name. We have to put an email in here as well. Let's see, John Smith 1. I'm going to put it Gmobile just so it doesn't actually go to there. And then you can do password auto generation, which will email them a generic password that they can reset when they first log in. Or you can do manual and just type in a password here. So I'm just going to do a manual one. Why can't I do this right? There we go. And then click on save. All right. Then we go down to that user here, and we can put in more information like their phone number, their email, or sorry, their address, whatever you're paying them hourly. This will help with later on in some of the reports. You can, calculate your labor rates. So let's just say we're giving this guy $20, and we'll click save. And it's important to note that wherever you see multiple save buttons on a page like this, that means that if you change something down here in this box, only this save button will save this box. If we click this save button, it's not going to save anything down here. So if you do see these multiple things and you change stuff, go ahead and just make sure you click on that save. All right, and the most important thing in here is access. So there's a couple different versions of Tinsel. We have Tinsel CRM, and then we also have the employee portal. CRM will be CRM access, and the employee portal will be employee access. We'll go through the employee portal shortly, but here is where you enable what they have access to. And then also you can change their role from user to admin. I'm pretty sure the only difference between user and admin right now is access to the settings that we're looking at. All right, and then if you want to turn the user on or off altogether, this little enabled button will do that. So I like to set their access down here once, and then if they leave us or we fire them or whatever the case, we just click disabled there so that they can not log on across anything. All right, next up is projects. Projects is just very basic right now. All we need to do is fill in our bases. You guys don't know what that is, so I'll come back to that in just a few minutes when we actually go through the project. But here is where you update the items for the basis checklist. After that, we have proposals. So this one has quite a bit of information in it because there's quite a bit of customization allowed on a proposal. So let's start with the easy stuff. If you are a company that services multiple tax locations, you can go ahead and create your different tax jurisdictions here. So for me, I service Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. So I'm going to add Delaware in here. And Delaware has 0 sales tax, which is awesome. Click on save. So now we have multiple tax jurisdictions in here. And then when you go to create a proposal, you can pick which one you're in. Daniel, yes, sir. You have a question, my friend?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Is there a way to delete taxes?
Is there a way to delete taxes? Surprisingly not. Ariane, can you make a note of that so that we can just add a delete button in here as well? But Daniel, I will say that if you use a tax on any proposal, you're not going to be able to delete it later, only because the proposal references that tax and things get a little screwy. It's a very similar situation.
Right. It was just a demo tax, right? We were testing some things and
Okay, so until we get that delete button pushed out, you can go ahead and email support and let them know which one you want to delete, and they can go ahead and delete it for you. All right, awesome. So taxes is good. Let's skip agreement types for a second. We'll come back to that. Email notifications. So you can now send yourself or your salesperson email notifications when a proposal is viewed, accepted, rejected. I like to see when they're viewed and accepted, and when it's rejected, I just like to have an what we call this, in CRM notification that will pop up. So I don't necessarily want the email. So these first 3 will send to the salesperson assigned to this job, and I'll show you how to assign a salesperson when we get to a proposal. But these will send to the salesperson assigned to the job. If you also want to send it to yourself as the super admin, you can just go ahead and turn on this bottom one. So now both you and the salesperson will get an email notification when a proposal is viewed or accepted in my case. And if we have this one on, rejected. Right below that, some more basic business information. Again, this all mostly should be ready to go for you. If it's not, you can just fill it in. But most of this comes from when you're first signing up. Now, we do have business information, business address on here again, because some people, for some reason, and I don't know the reason, but some people asked us if they can have a different address on the invoice as they do on the proposal. And so we just made it so that you can do that by putting, again, we're in the proposals tab here. So whatever address you put on here will show up for the proposal. And then when we get to the invoices tab, there's the same information. All right. You also have the ability to turn off or on your business address showing on a proposal if you want to do that. Let's just say if you're working out of your home, you don't want to show your clients the business address. All right, accept proposal terms over here. So here is where we can create terms that must be agreed to by the clients before they can accept the proposal. So in this case, I understand that my preferred dates are not guaranteed. Some people also like to put, I have read and agree to the terms and conditions. Right, you can put whatever you want in there, but just know that this is not optional. So if you have these terms on here, the client must select these before they can accept a proposal. So you don't want to make this an either or situation. It's I definitely this and definitely this. And I'll show you where those come up on the proposal later on. All right, below that, we also have some more follow-up questions, or some follow-up questions rather, from proposal. So when somebody goes to accept a proposal, or when a client goes to accept a proposal, you have the option to require a signature when they do that. So you can have them digitally sign. We also have the option to ask them if they have a preferred installation week. And we pretty much list out every single week, starting July 30th all the way through Christmas. And these are on Sundays. And you have the ability to turn on or off certain weeks. So what I like to do personally is for when I send out all my reinstalls, I only give them October as options. And then once all my reinstalls are done, I turn all of October off. and turn on November and December for all my new clients. And then as a week starts to fill up, let's just say this week here, the week of November 26th, as that fills up, I'll come back in here, turn that off and make that not optional. So you can choose to do this, or if you don't want to deal with any of that at all, you can go ahead and turn that option off and the client won't even see that you are asking them for a preferred installation week. Preferred removal type, same situation, except for there's only 3 options: regular removal, late removal, or early removal. And you can turn that question on or off as well. So I'm going to leave this on just so I can show you where it shows up in the proposal. All right, down here is your terms and conditions. So you can have multiple versions of your terms and conditions. So in my company personally, what we do is we have a leasing terms and conditions because 99% of what we do is leasing. However, we also have a sales version just because every once in a while we do have one client, usually a commercial client, that's coming to us and says, hey, we want to buy this big, this big product. We don't want to lease it, or it just makes sense. So we have a leasing one in here. We have, a sales one. All of these can be found in our templates. In your, I should have showed you this first, but if you hit this help button, it brings you to support.tinselcrm.com. This is all of our support documentation. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see templates in here. So proposal templates would be the one that has the terms and conditions. So we have multi-pricing description, which we'll get to next. And then below that, we have some templates in here for terms and conditions. So leasing model, sales model, if the client's providing the item, which we definitely don't recommend for residential, but we have it because we do some commercial work where the client comes to us with, again, with some, maybe they have a tower tree that they already own that we're just installing for them. All right, so there's a couple options there that you can take and make your own. And then also we have email templates, invoice terms and conditions, payment templates. All those templates are in here. Also in here is just, pretty much everything that you can do in Tinsel. You'll find a document in here on how to do it. And if you can't find it, just search. And if you still can't find it, reach out to support and we'll help you out. All right, so some people get confused on creating multiple versions of terms and conditions. So right now we have 3 different options in here. Let me go to Untitled and we'll name this one Sales and click on Save. All right, and then if I just hit that, I make this Sales. This one can't be blank, so we'll just say this one Sales and click on Save. So now we have 3 different versions. You'll notice one of them says default. This is going to be the one that automatically adds for you unless you change it. And the way to change which one is default is by just clicking on this green check mark here. So if I click on that, my sales one's now default. And if I click, if I go back to my lease one and click on that, my lease one is now default. To add a new version, just create or click on new. And then an untitled one will pop up. Click on that. You can rename it, put your terms in there, and click on save. All right. So the other thing that's in here that we didn't talk about yet is the agreement types. So we have single agreement, which is what most of you guys, I'm sure, are already familiar with. This will be, a proposal. We're going to do it one time. Here's the price. Multi-year agreement types allow you to offer up to 5 different pricing options for multi-year agreements. So my company, we do 1-year agreement option, 3-year agreement option, and 5-year agreement option. Some companies that are using Tinsel do a 1, 2, and 3-year option. And the idea here is the longer the agreement, the better pricing the client's going to get. So for example, for a 1-year agreement, you might want to charge something like $15 per foot, right? Because you don't want anybody to do a 1-year agreement. Whereas a 5-year agreement, you might be charging something like $7 or $8 per foot. So that's where you would go to make this or set it up. So essentially all you need to do is put a title in here and then a short code. pretty straightforward. The short code should just be the number and then YR for the number of years. And then down the bottom here, we have multi-price description, which will, when multi-pricing is turned on, or when when multi-year agreement type is turned on, this description will show on the proposal. So let me go and grab that template from the multi-pricing description. I'm going to copy this here. We're going to paste it. All right, I'm not going to format it right now, but you have all kind of formatted options. I'm just going to save it so that you can see where it shows up. But the idea here is just, this is your little blurb to explain how multi-pricing works, or multi-year pricing works. Moving along, the next tab is invoices. So again, business information, you can go ahead and enter that here. And then at the bottom of the invoice, you have additional terms and conditions. We keep it generic. Again, there is a version in our templates that you can use, but here's where you would edit that. In the emails tab, we have a couple options in here. So first, let's start on the right. We have our logs. So every email that you send out through Tinsel, whether you're sending a proposal or sending an invoice, or if you're getting a notification that your proposal has been viewed or accepted, all of the logs will be in here. So you can go ahead and click on it and see the actual message that was sent out. You can, you can see who it was sent to, when. You can even click on any links that are involved in there. So if I click on this one, it should bring me to that invoice. All right, so if you're ever unsure of if you sent a proposal out, you can check here, but there's also another place that I can show you as well. In the middle here, these are your templates for when you send an email out. This is what's going to show, and we have 4 different options. This is what's going to show in the email. So when you send a proposal to a client, this is the email template that would show, and this is what it would look like on the actual email they receive. All right, so it'll be your logo up top, whatever is in your template, and then the last thing will be the link to their proposal. All right, we do have placeholders available so that you don't have to type out the client's name and things like that. And again, if you go to the templates section, a list of those placeholders are available in here, and explained a little bit. So we have first name, amount paid, invoice balance, proposal balance, and it shows you exactly how to do that. So for me, I put hi first name, blah, 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 sincerely us. And then when I go to send that proposal, it'll say, hi, Eric. All right, so here's where you have those 4 different options. When you send a proposal, when you send an invoice, when you send a receipt for a payment, and when you request a review. And again, we have templates for all of that. Over here on the left, we have what the client will see when you send them an email from the display name. So in their inbox, they'll see whatever you put in here. Typically, it'll just be your client name, your company name. And then reply to address. So if a client decides to respond back via email to a proposal you sent, it will go to whatever inbox you specify here. All right, and then this receiving here, this prospect's email. So remember I said back on the dashboard that you can have your leads automatically funneled into Tinsel. You're going to need to set up or forward those leads to this email address. And again, there's documentation on how to do all of that. But the short of it is, you have 2 options. You can put, when you create your form on your website, you're going to tell your form where to send the emails to. You can just add this there, or you can have the form send the email, the lead email, to your email inbox, and then you can use filters to send it to here automatically. If for some reason this gets corrupted or you need to change it, you can always regenerate. I recommend not doing that if you have it set it up, because then you're going to have to set it all up again. And again, if you need any help, click that little check mark. It'll bring you right to the help document. And then again, you can always email us. All right, next tab is payments. Payments, pretty straightforward. If you sign up for Tinsel Pay, you're going to do that here. So you can go ahead and click on sign up. It's going to ask you a couple different questions. Do you want to process credit and debit cards? And do you want to process ACH? Making that decision before you actually apply is key. And then the rates are, if you want to process ACH, it's just 0.75%, and you're going to pay that, the merchant. And then for credit card, you have two options. Do you want to pay the fee yourself, or do you want to pass the fee on to your client, which is legal in every state, by the way, if set up properly, we can help you do that. If you pay the fee yourself, I'm sorry, if you pass the fee on to the client, the rate is 3.95%, and they're going to pay the fee on top of whatever you're billing them for. But if you pay the fee, we were able to negotiate a little bit of a better rate for that. So that's just 2.95% plus 25% per transaction. And that will be billed to you as the company. These rates are very comparable with Square and Stripe and things like that. The benefit to using Tinsel Pay is that you can save card on file inside of Tinsel, and you can also save your ACH profile on inside of Tinsel as well. So if somebody pays with ACH, they can click Save Profile, and this way, when they go to do the install, you can go ahead and just bill them or process their payment by calling their ACH. All right, so if you answer your questions, you hit go. It'll bring you to another page, which is another application, and you can fill that out. And then we will need your tokenization key, security key, all these other things need to populate in here. Once you're approved for Tinsel, this automatically populates, so you don't have to worry about that. We'll take care of it for you. To turn it on, once you do have those keys, you can just go ahead here and click this red button, and it will turn green. Obviously, mine isn't because I don't have my keys entered. All right, moving on. We do offer Square. We don't recommend it because, again, we can't save card on file with Square, at least not inside of Tinsel. You would have to go to a whole nother separate terminal to process all of that information. And I don't think there's actually even a way to reprocess through Tinsel. So you'd have to go to Square, process the payment, come back and manually mark it as paid. But it is here for anybody that wants to use it. Venmo. So Venmo right now is just there because a user asked us for it in a certain way back when, and we never took it off. But all this would do is you would put your URL in here, and it would show the QR code when a client goes to process or goes to make a payment. It doesn't actually mark a payment in Tinsel as paid if somebody does this. And then down here we have two other options, cash and check. Obviously, we can't accept either of those through Tinsel. So we give you an open text box down here so that you could say, if you would like to make payment by cash, contact your representative. Or if they click on check and it says, if you wish to pay by check, payments are being made to your company and mailed to this address. All right, last section is subscriptions. So here is where you can see which subscription you're on. You can see your billing information. You can also see your card on file that we are charging for your subscription. And if you ever need to change this, just go ahead and edit it. And edit your new card details and click on save. All right, and down here you will see all of your past invoices for all of your subscription payments as well. All right, so that is all of the settings. That's the hardest part, going through all that, taking care of all that. I'm going to pause here for a quick second, open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I do.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I spoke with you the other day, and whenever we were working, we don't do the deposits up front, and I missed like the very beginning of this call, so I don't know if you maybe hit this. I don't think you probably did, but we do not do 50% deposit up front. We do 75% at time of install and the remaining quarter at the time of takedown. And so I was inputting our clients the other day. I did the import and I started to create their projects. I created their site and then I created their project. When I create their project, my first question is do I hit accept to make it, do I have to hit accept to make it hit I think I do. I have to hit accept to create something, correct?
To create what?
To be able to get to the invoice where I create an invoice.
Yeah, so you have to have an accepted proposal. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But the fact that you don't invoice immediately is totally okay. I'll show you how to do that in just a few minutes as
Because
well.
it's I guess what I was trying to get to is it's sending my clients, it's going ahead and invoicing my clients ahead of time, and I'm trying to just get them in queue for scheduling, and it's throwing everything off. And I didn't know if I missed this up front, so I'm really sorry. So have
Yeah,
you not touched on this yet?
no, we haven't touched on it yet, but we can definitely get to it. There's just a quick checkbox that you have to check to turn that off, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes.
Perfect. I'm so sorry.
No worries, no worries. Any other questions on what we went over so far? All right, awesome. Check the chat. Looks like Ariane's taking care of that. All right, good to go. So I'm going to keep on moving. Next thing you want to do after your settings is set up is you want to set up your inventory. Inventory sounds scary. It's not. It's super easy. We've made it super easy to do. So if you go to your inventory here, these are all the products that you should have to offer. Or let me rephrase, this should have all the products that you offer. All of your C9s, all of your mini lights, different colors, all of your garlands, your wreaths, your bows, anything that you use to determine pricing on a proposal should be in here. So you guys will have a blank one, but let me show you how to do this manually first, and then I'll show you how to do it by uploading, which is much easier. But to create a new inventory item one at a time, you just click on new item and we fill out this information here. So for this, let's just say I'm going to create C9s in cool white. All right. We'll create a SKU for this. The SKUs, guys, are important, but it's not important what it is. In short, there can never be two SKUs that are the same within your organization. And the reason for this is when we mass upload later, we can kind of download again and upload it again, and it will check if that SKU exists. If it does, it's not going to create a new one. It's going to update all of the data on it. Really helpful for beginning of season when you need to update your pricing. And also very helpful if you're doing inventory counting in your warehouse. You can go ahead and fill out the spreadsheet once and upload it, and it'll change all of your numbers for you. But again, I'll show you that in just a minute. So again, the SKU doesn't matter what it is. I just like to keep it simple. C9, cool white. We'll just call it that for now. Your source, so wherever you're getting it from. Let's just say we're going to get this one from Minleon directly. Category. Category is certainly important for building proposals. If you don't have a category, it will not show up when you're looking for it when you're building a proposal. So definitely build a cat or create a category for it. So in this case, I'm just going to pick C9. If you have a link to order that project or that product, you can put it in here. If you have a storage location in your warehouse, if you're as anal as me, I like to organize my warehouse by shelf numbers and things like that. So if you have all of that, you can put your storage location, or if you're operating out of storage units, you can put the storage unit number for where you normally keep these. This way, you don't have to remember where they are. You can always come here and look for them. Cost. So cost is going to be your cost to buy this. So in my case, what I do is when I put C9 on here, I incorporate everything that goes with a C9. So C9, socket cord, clip. All right. So let's just say for a C9 plus that one socket plus that clip, let's just call that $1.50 my cost, which is pretty high. But the next thing is the price. This is what you are going to be selling or leasing this for. And again, there's two here. There's single and there's multi. So single price, let's just say you're going to do $10 a foot. And multi price, if you have it set up, you can put your multi pricing in here. So what I like to do is I like to make my price for a single and my price for a 5 the same. I like to make my 1 year price 1.5 times this. So 1.5 times 10, so I'll make that 15. And then my 3-year price is somewhere in the middle. Let's just call it $13. All right. And I'll explain why I make my 1-year price 1.5 times my 5-year price when we get to a proposal. All right. Stock current level. So this is going to be how many you actually have in inventory right now. Let's just say I have 5,000 of them. And then you have stock warning level. So if you put a stock warning level in here, let's just say 1,000, every time my current stock level falls below 1,000, I will get an internal notification on Tinsel saying, hey, you're running low on cool white C9s. All right, and stock item here. Actually, that will only happen, that notification will only happen if you have a stock item checked here. So that's the only difference between stock item and not stock item. All right, so let's go ahead and say stock item. If you want, you can upload an image of a cool white C9 here. This can be shown on the proposal. I don't think I have. Let me check to see if I just have any something. We'll assume that that's a cool white C9 just for this demo. I'm going to go ahead and upload that and go ahead and click on save. All right, that is how you would do this manually. The alternative option here is you can hit options, export. This will export a CSV. All right, and if I open that CSV, if you do this with a blank one, you should just see just headers. All right, so you can see the headers in here. Now you can fill out all this information in here. Let me open this for real, actually, so you guys can see what it looks like. All right, so now I have this CSV in here, and I can go ahead and fill all of this out in here, and then go ahead and upload it. Now, the benefit to doing this, let me make this small so you can see a little better. The benefit to doing this is right here. I have however many number of C7 types, right? The only thing that changes between all of these is the name and the SKU number. The place I buy them, the category, where we store them, the pricing, that's all the same across all of them. So doing this, create one line item, duplicate it however many times, and then just change the name of the SKU. And then you can go ahead, export this back as a CSV and upload it to Tinsel. Now, if you guys don't know where to get started with inventory, we have a file called sample inventory that we can send your way. Again, it's just a CSV, and in this CSV file, it will have all of the basics that you need. So your C9s, your red bows, your garland, your mini lights, a timer, and your wreaths. Just the basics. We filled all that out for you. Now all you need to do is put in here where you're going to get it all from. If you want to put your links in here, you totally can. But most importantly, you need to fill in your pricing information and how many you have in stock currently. All right. Any questions on inventory? None? Awesome. Love that. So to import that, again, just options, import, and then you're going to go ahead and pick the CSV file that you created. It's important that you don't change any columns, don't move anything around, don't rename any columns. And that's why I tell people to go ahead and just download it from here, export it from here first, because it's set up all the way you need it to be. All right. If you get stuck and don't know how to do it, there's always this documentation linked right here where you can click on this, and it will walk you through exactly what the columns need to be and how exactly to import it. All right, moving on. Once your inventory is set up, you are ready to start creating clients and projects. So we're going to go to clients and create a new client. All right, so we're going to call this one John Smith. We get to decide if he's residential, commercial, or other. We heard about him on Facebook, let's just say, or he heard about us on Facebook. And then we have the option for status. So if a lead comes in and they didn't buy anything from us yet, I would mark them as prospect. And if a lead does come in, and you have it automatically set up to come in as a prospect or into your prospects, they will come in as a prospect on the dashboard. You also have the ability to put them on the wait list. So a lot of times we fill up mid-November and we don't know if we can take any more clients, so we can add them to a wait list. Once a client or once a prospect actually does accept a proposal, they automatically move from prospect to customer. And then always we have inactive as well. So if this could be like an old client that doesn't use us anymore, we can mark them as inactive. All right, so I'm just going to stick with prospect. We're going to put an address in here. We'll use that address for now. And then we have a little checkbox here that says auto create site. So I'll tell you what that means in just a minute. Let's go ahead and create this client. All right, so we created the client. We're in the client page now, and I can tell that because I see the client name on the top left. All right, so here's all the information we just put in up here. If we have any notes for this client, we can put them in here if we wanted to. But down below, we have a couple different tabs. First tab is contact. Notice that when we created this client, we didn't put in any phone number or any email. And that's because you do that in the contacts section. So let's go ahead and create a new contact, and let's just assume this is residential. So we're going to say John Smith, and he's going to be a homeowner. And then phone number we can put in here, and email address, I'll put mine in there for now. And we have the option to make him the primary contact, which means every time we go to send out a proposal or an invoice, it's going to auto default to this email address. You do have the option to create multiple contacts if necessary. Very helpful for commercial. The next thing is sites. So sites, again, typically, if you're just doing residential, your site down here is going to match your billing address. So that's why we had that checkbox that says auto create site. However, if I have a commercial client that has multiple locations, so for example, I have one commercial client in my business that has 11 different locations that we do Christmas lights for. And so I can just go ahead and create new sites, you know, and put a different address in here if I wanted to. If for some reason you don't have a site and it is going to be the same as the billing address, you can go ahead, click on new and click autofill address. And this will copy whatever it says in the billing address behind here. All right, I'm going to skip these two tabs for a sec. Actually, I'm not. Let's go back to projects. So here is where you're going to see all of your projects, past and present for this particular client. And same concept for your invoices. This is where all of the invoices, past and present, will show up for this client. Next, you'll see all of the files associated with this client. And then after that, your Tinsel Pay bolts. So again, if you're using Tinsel Pay, you have the option to save a card on file. They'll show up here. And to save ACH on file, they'll show up in here as well. All right, so let's go to projects now. And let's create a new project for this client. Click on new. And you have the option to select the client, change the site. Here's where we're going to pick our salesperson. And again, your email notifications will go to this salesperson. I think this defaults to whoever it is logged in at the moment. All right, we can pick a name for this project. I like to put 2023 Christmas display. I like to put the year in here because after a few years, you are going to come to this page and see a whole bunch of different projects for this client. And it's very easy to differentiate which year it was if you just put it in the name. All right, we also have category here. I like to use Christmas for Christmas projects. If you do Halloween projects, you can put Halloween. If you do landscape lighting, you can put landscape lighting in here. If you do patio lighting, you can do that as well. So you get the idea. All right. And the year is, I always just put the year that we're doing the installation. This will help segregate some data in some of the reports that we have. All right. So go ahead and create that project. We're now in the project section. Did anybody have any questions on the client's part? All right, cool. All right, so now here is where we're going to build this proposal for this client. We have files here, mockups, notes. So let's start with the files. Let's go ahead and create or upload a file for this client of their house. We're going to say house and upload. All right, so now I have a picture of the client's house in here. Now what I can do is I can just include this on the proposal if you're bringing in mockups from other programs if you wanted to, or you can use our built-in mockup tool. So to get to our mockup tool, just click the three dots and click on New Mockup. All right, that opens up a mockup tool for you to use. This is really simple to use. Most of you, I'm sure, have seen a mockup tool in one way, shape, or form. The beauty of this is that it's built right into Tinsel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the draw mode. I'm going to pick cool white lights. Let's do warm white so I can show it off. And spacing probably good. So all I need to do is click and click. And now we have lights on the house. And if I continue clicking, it will continue that line. That is not what I want in this situation. So what I want to do instead is, let's say, click and click. And now if I want to end this line, just click on the line. And that will allow you to click somewhere else now and start a new one. Oops, sorry. That will allow you to click, and end that one. And if I want it, I clicked on it to end it, and then I can start somewhere else. So if I continue clicking, it will just continue these lines, or if I click on it, it will end the line and I can go somewhere else and do it. All right, so let me go ahead and delete all that nonsense. And let's start fresh. So let's go ahead and do click, 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 click on that line to end it, and then we'll keep on going. All right, so super easy to put lights on a house. Now what I can do is I can hit select mode. I can highlight this whole thing. And if I wanted to, I can change the color. I can select a pattern down here. So let's just say, well, red, white, or green. Or we have a new empty pattern section. So let me delete these out. I have a new empty pattern where you can create your own. So very simple to do that. Just click on new empty pattern and then click and drag the color down that you want. All right, so instead of red, white, and green, let's say I want red, white, and blue. I can go ahead and click on that. For now, we'll stick with warm white. What I could also do is I can change the sizing, the spacing of the lights rather. All right, so I'll stick with 20 for now, and I can change the sizing here as well. So I want extra small, small, large, extra large. All right, pretty straightforward, really easy to use. The next thing you can do is you can add preset images. So we have a couple of preset images in here. We're going to add some more shortly. So let's say we're going to add a wreath and a bow. Let's put a wreath on first. You can click on that, put them together, and add a bow. We can take this and move this up into here. Really easy to do. What we also have outside of preset images, we also have custom images. So if you have an image that doesn't have a background, you can upload it here. Some people like to use this just to put their logo on the picture somewhere, but other people do have, they can go, you can actually go to your vendor's website and pull the product image off their website and then just go to like remove.bg and remove the background from it, and you can upload it into here. So for me, one of my special ones is Garland Triple. So I like to go ahead and put these on columns. Makes columns very easy to decorate. Sorry, this one. Custom. There we go. garland. And what I can do now is I'm actually going to add this twice, and it's going to add right on top of each other. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it. And what I could do is I can group this together by clicking this button up here. Now I can go and resize this, and I'm actually resizing both at the same time. And then I can go ahead and ungroup it. Now there's actually two laying on top of each other. I can take one and move it over to here. All right, so a little workaround, a little cheat mode. All right, again, you could do the same thing. You could put bows on there if you wanted to. You can get pretty crazy on it. Another thing you could do is we get asked a lot, how do we do trees with this? So I'm going to show you very quickly because I'm taking a lot of time up on this. Go to draw mode. Let's make our lights extra small for this one, and spacing is probably okay. I have this tree over here that we're going to try and decorate. So let's go ahead and click and click. I'm going to end that line. All right, so super simple to decorate trees or garland. I'm going to extend this one a little bit further, and we'll put just one at the top there. All right, so that's how you would decorate that tree. Really straightforward. You can, again, select the whole thing. And mess around with the spacing if you wanted to. Let's say a little bit less spacing for more lights. We can make the lights bigger. All right, if you're putting C7s or C9s on the tree, if you'd like to do that. All right, pretty straightforward. Any questions on the mockup tool? No? Awesome. All right, so once you're done creating this mockup, what you can do now is options. Actually, before we do that, let's save it. Oh, this other thing I didn't show you here is if you do have a picture during the day, you can make this darker to make the picture look a little bit more like night. All right, so what we can do now is save this, and you'll see mockup saved over here. And then what we're going to also do is export it back to our files. So I hit export to files, and I'll show you the difference between save and export to files in just a sec. If you ever wanted to download the actual image, you can just download it here as well. All right, so now that we're done with that, we now see we have the house mockup over here. And if I click on this, this brings me back into that program where I can go ahead and make changes to what we've already done. That's what that save button was for. And then what we have over here is the exported file. So now we have, if I click on that, the flattened image with the mockup on it. So first thing I want to do is include this on my proposal. So now when we create a proposal and send it to a client, that image is going to be there. You can do this for any image. You can put any image on a proposal if you like, and you can store any files that you want in here. So it doesn't have to be a mock-up. I like to keep my house maps in here as well, or our install maps, I should say. But we don't obviously send that to our client. So you can keep them in here and not have to send it to the client. All right, so now that we have our mock-up done, what I'm going to do now is create a proposal. Before I get into that, down here, you'll see 7 tabs. These 7 tabs are the 7 stages of any project inside of Tinsel. So what from left to right, we have proposal. First thing you got to do is build a proposal. After that, after proposal is accepted, the next thing that happens is you can either automatically create and send an invoice out, or you can manually create and send that invoice. After the invoice is sent or paid, you can go to your inventory prep stage, which is where we're going to gather all of the materials for the project. After that, it's time to do the installation. After that, we have bases, which we'll get to in just a few minutes. After that is takedown time. So we'll go out and we'll do the takedown. And then the last but not least is reviews. So we'll send out a request to get some reviews. So I'll go through all of these in pretty good detail. If anybody has any questions, feel free to stop me. All right, so first thing we're going to do is create a new proposal. Go ahead and click on new. I like to just name it proposal unless you're doing multiple proposals for this particular client. then you can say proposal 1, proposal 2, or you can say, Smith 2020, Smith proposal, let's just say. All right, here is where you can select. Here's where you can select your taxes. So there's a drop down here. If you do it by state, like I do, not everybody can depending on which state it is, but if you do it by state, you can go ahead and I think it will actually automatically pick it up if you do it by state. So it'll work based on where this project location is, the site location. And then we have clone from, which after I'm done with this project, I'll circle back and show you what clone from does. Go ahead and click on save. All right, so now we are inside the proposal. Lots to customize in here. So before we get into all of the customization, let's just start with the simple stuff. Proposals are built with two things, features and feature items. Features are things that you want to decorate, like roof lines, bushes, trees, shrubs, things like that. Feature items are going to be the products or inventory items that you use to decorate the features. So if my feature is C9, I'm sorry, if my feature is roofline, my feature item below that would be C9s. If my feature is bush, my feature items would be minis. All right, so let's create a couple quick ones, which are very easy to do. Click on new feature first, and let's say we're going to do a roofline. You can put a description in here and say front roof line only. You can put install and removal hours, what you expect it to take for this feature here. So let's say we're going to say it's probably going to take 1.5 hours to install that roof line, and takedown is going to be, well, just for easy sake, we'll say a quarter hour, 15 minutes. All right, we have the option to hide the price for this feature, and we also have the option to make it optional. I'll circle back to those. Let's go ahead and click on save. Now we have a roof line. If I click to expand this, we can see all the details we just put in. Now inside of this roof line, we can add a new feature item. So click on new feature item. Here's where we're going to put our products that we need to do the roof line. C9. So pick your item category. And again, this is why this category is so important when you're putting in your inventory, is because if you don't put a category, there's no way to find it when you build a proposal. So C9, and we're going to do C9 warm white. Let's say it's going to be about 150 of those. We can look at our cost. All of this comes in based on our inventory that you filled out earlier. You can always change this on the fly if you need to. So for example, if I'm saying, I don't like this person just because they're mean, I'm going to put $10 on them. All right, so you can change this on the fly. We also have type new versus existing. New is if this is a new client and this is new product that you're pulling out of your inventory. So if you have this product listed in your inventory and counted in your inventory, you use new. If this is a returning client and you already have their materials in a box with their name on it on a shelf somewhere, you use existing. So the difference between new and existing is if the product is new or existing.
Yeah, Dan Baskin.
Okay. We also have a couple of other settings down here as well. You can hide this on the proposal. You can make it taxable or not. This is a feature somebody asked us about, or multiple people have asked us about, because they sell their products. And so they can sell the products that are taxable. That is taxable. But then they charge labor separately that is not taxable. So you have the option to do that by making certain line items taxable. We also have, I'm going to switch this to cool white because I'm going to show you the next feature. We also have the ability to hide the quantity and image type. So remember, we put that little image when we built this cool white C9 in here. So I'm just going to put item. If I hit item, it's going to be whatever one I have listed in my inventory. If I hit none, none will show up. Go ahead, click on save. All right, we can add another feature item to this roof line if we wanted to. Maybe they're doing half cool white, half red. You can add a new feature item and put red C9s on there as well. And you continue to do that. What I want to do though is collapse this roof line and create a new feature. We did have a tree on there, so let's do this. We'll say tree on right side of house. Probably going to take us about a half hour to do, and takedown will probably be just as long. I'm going to make this one optional. And then I'm going to open up this tree. And I'm going to add a new feature item. So feature items for this tree are going to be mini lights. Say mini lights. And we'll do cool white just because we're doing cool white for the other thing. And let's say I'm going to need, I don't know, 6 sets for this. All right, everything else is already taken care of for me. All right, let's add one more thing. Let's add the wreath that we put on the top, wreath on a peak. And we could say wreath with red bow. And go ahead, click on save. I'm actually going to make the wreath optional as well. So the settings that we had inside of that box are also available over here. And then I'm also going to go ahead and add that wreath. So if I scroll down to my wreaths, let's just say we're going to use a 60-inch wreath on that. I only need one. Go ahead, click save. And personally, in my company, we keep the bows as separate line items. So for a 60-inch wreath, we'll put a 24-inch bow on. All right. Now, my proposal is built. It's ready to go. All I need to do now is send it to the client. So I'm going to hit the send button. It's going to fire off this email with this template that I showed you guys earlier in your settings. And it'll email the link to the proposal. When the client clicks on that link, they'll be brought to this page here. So proposal, pretty straightforward. Top is basic, has the basic information, I should say, your logo, your information. We have a list of all the features and feature items in here. Below that, we have our pricing information. Below that, we have our mock-up that we did. And then below that will be our terms and conditions. All right, they could go and accept this. I'm not going to do it just yet. But if they go and accept it, here's all those follow-up questions I talked about in the settings earlier, and we'll come back and look at those in a sec. Or they can go ahead and reject this. So, a couple things I want to show you first. Remember, we put that that image for the C9 in the inventory. That's where this would show here. And if you want, they can click it and expand. This, I would not put the person's house here. I would just put, like, if you're doing a spritzer or, you know, light, what do they call those? I don't even know what they call them. Spritzers, I think. If you're doing a spritzer and you have a picture of a spritzer, I would put just a stock picture of a spritzer here so that they see spritzer and what the hell is that? They can click on and say, oh, they're cool. All right. Another thing I want to show you is Ariane, you're raising your hand.
Rob has a question in the chat.
Okay. What's the question? Actually,
Is there a
I got it. Let's see if I can find my chat. All right, let's see. Rob, is there a way to make taxable automatically not selected? Currently, every time it's selected. No. So let me ask a follow-up question. Are you guys taxing at all, Jacob?
No.
Okay, so if you're not taxing at all, then I would make your tax jurisdiction 0 and just not set up tax jurisdictions, or set one up for 0. And then whether it's taxable or not, it's still just going to show as 0.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's set at 0 for the exempt. I just didn't know if there was an option to get it unchecked, because every time I build them, I go in there and I uncheck every one of them.
Yeah, well, if your tax rate is 0, whether it's clicked as taxable or not, it's still going to end up.
It's going to be 0.
Yeah, so your tax will always show up on the proposal, I believe, anyway. So again, if you're not taxing, it's just going to show as 0.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Okay, Jacob, I look like I answered your other question just a minute ago. When the proposal is sent to, Trey says, when the proposal is sent to the customer, is there a way to have it sent from the salesperson right now? Not yet, Trey. We're working on doing that so that we can send it from multiple people. Okay, I think I got all the questions right now. Let me carry.
Sorry, there's one up top for Rob about feature item preference.
Let's see. Oh, come on with this Zoom. I should be better at doing Zoom. I'm on it all day long. Chat. There we go. Is there a way to set a feature item preference? Ours goes to C7 pure white. Rob, is there a way to set a feature item preference? Ours goes to C7 pure white, but C9 warm white is the default and most frequent item. Rob, what are you saying? What do you mean?
Basically, when I go to put a feature item, it's automatically like it's alphabetical.
Yeah.
Instead of I would love for it to be like the number one thing I'm gonna, and I would say for most installers that we're gonna be putting on is either warm white minis or warm white C9. And I use C7 almost never, only on Windows. So like creating either being able to rearrange the order of the colors at the very least. Like we do warm white, pure white, red, green, and then miscellaneous.
Yeah, that is good feedback. Ariane, take note of that. Yeah, because we do in the C7s, we definitely always have to come all the way down for warm white. That's definitely good feedback. Ariane, can you take note of that? And we'll see if we can come up with something for a way to reorganize these. Okay. I think I might have all the questions when the proposal is sent to the customer. I'll circle back to a lot of these questions towards the end. I want to make sure I get through all this and respect everybody's time. Okay, so back to this proposal. We do have a couple of customization options here now. So we can go ahead and hide the price on each individual item if we wanted to by going back here and just saying hide price. So if I go here and just refresh, you see the price for that line item disappeared. We also have the ability to make things optional. So again, I did not make the roof line optional because we definitely want to do the roof line. And I made the tree optional and the wreath optional. And you notice if I deselect those, the price down here will adjust automatically so that they can go ahead and upsell themselves. Additionally, we have the ability to show quantities on different feature items. So for a roof line, I never like to show how many C9s we're using, obviously. But for things like wreaths and garland, I do like to show how many we're getting for that. So we can go ahead and click on the three dots here next to the wreath and click deselect hide quantity. And we can do that for the bow as well. And then if I just go back here and refresh, you'll see quantity 1 for the wreath and quantity 1 for the bow as well. All right. The other thing that we can customize is switching from single to multi-year. Very simple to do that. Once you have it set up in your settings, all you need to do is switch over from single to multi. All right. Now, if I just go ahead and refresh this, I'm now offering my clients 3 different pricing options based on the length of their agreement. All right. And again, it still works with all of these upselling options. So if they do a 5-year agreement with us, it's going to be $21.10. If they do a per year, if they do a 3-year agreement, it'll be $26.50 per year. If they do a 1-year agreement, it'll be $3,000 per year. And here is where I said that I like my 1-year price to be 1.5 roughly times my 5-year price, is because our contract says that if they ever decide to back out of the contract before the full agreement's finished, they owe us 50% of the next year's cost. So if they sign up for a 5-year at $2,100, but they only use us 1 year, they paid 2,100, but realistically they were only in a 1-year contract. The difference there, one or half of this is about $1,000. That brings us up to about 3,000, brings us back to a 1-year agreement price. I've never had anybody actually back out of a contract yet. We've been doing this for 4 years now, this type of way. But that is the reasoning behind my 1.5 times that I talked about earlier. All right, I think I talked about pretty much everything on customizing the proposal. Somebody had a question, female earlier, forget who it was, but it was about the automatically creating the first invoice. If that's this first invoice details right here. So if you have this box checked, it's going to automatically create and send first invoice once the client accepts the proposal. So if I have it deselected, we're going to go ahead and accept that proposal. It's not going to automatically create the invoice, and it's obviously not going to send it to the client. So that is the answer to the question that we got earlier. But I do want to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. I'm going to say we're going to do a 50% deposit, and it's going to ask me how many days until due. Let me just show you what it looks like if I put 7 on here. So it's going to say, here's the price. Sorry, here's the price. Here's the deposit we need, and we need that deposit in 7 days. Now, if I want, I could change this to 0. And if I go back and just refresh, it's going to say, here's the price, here's the deposit we need, and we need that immediately when you sign this contract. So let's go ahead and pick I don't know, we'll do a 3-year agreement for this one. So let's go ahead. The client says, I want to select a 3-year agreement. They click on that, and then they can scroll to the bottom here. It'll tell them to scroll to the bottom there, and click on accept. Here is those follow-up questions that we set up in our settings. So preferred removal type, early, regular, or late. So let's go ahead and set regular, and actually the other one's not showing up. So let me go back to my settings. Preferred installation week should be on, and I need to hit save. So let me go back over here, just refresh so that I can show you that. Accept. Okay, so now preferred installation week shows first. So they have a preferred installation week, and only the weeks that I have selected in those settings will show up here. And then, of course, it says we'll do our best, but this is not guaranteed. Just a little disclaimer. Also, we can pick a regular removal type. Additional information will show up, or they can put in additional information there. And then those terms that I mentioned that are not optional. So you notice I did not select these two, so my accept button doesn't work yet. So I need to accept both of these terms for my accept button work. So this cannot be an either or situation. This has to be, yes, I agree to this. And then for the signature, just put a signature in there. I'm going to go ahead and click accept. All right, so it now, as the client, it redirected me to the invoice where I can now make payment. So because this is a demo account, there is no Tinsel Pay set up for it. But invoice is pretty straightforward. This is telling us that you accepted a proposal for this amount. We're invoicing you now for this amount, and here's how much you've paid. If they do go ahead and make a payment online here, they can click make payment. Tinsel Pay would show up. They'd put in their credit card information or their ACH information, hit the payment. Their payment would then show up over here. And this would go to 1431. This would go to 0, and it would say that it was paid. Back on my Tinsel account, because somebody accepted that proposal, we get a notification here. And again, if you had it set up in your settings to send it an email, it would send it to you as well. So if I clicked on that, it would now bring me back into this project. And you'll notice a couple things. You'll notice we're no longer in the proposal stage, and it moved us into the invoices stage. It also created that invoice for us for 50%, and it automatically sent it out. So if they paid that invoice, it would obviously automatically mark it as paid. If they, we're just going to click on the invoice, and now we're inside the invoice here. If they send you a check or pay by cash or some other way, you can go ahead and click on new payment here and enter the amount. pick the date. You can choose how they paid you. So let's say check. There's a status here, pending, rejected, closed. Typically, if you're manually entering a payment, you're going to just mark it as closed. Pending and rejected are more for ACH situations. And then for the notes, if it's a check, I like to put a check number in here. And then I can send an email receipt as well if I click this. So again, this is me entering a payment manually. If they paid with Tinsel Pay, they'll automatically get the emailed receipt. But if you do it manually, you have the option to do that here. Click on save. The next page it brings you to will be that email template for that receipt. And again, all of the placeholders have filled all the information in for you. So it's telling them how much they paid, how much they still owe on the invoice, and how much they still owe on the actual whole project itself. All right. I'm not even going to send it, but you get the idea. All right. And if they go back to that invoice and hit refresh, like I said, their payment will show up here. Check, date, and the amount, and they will see that it's paid. All right, moving on. Running out of time. Moving on a little bit. We have the next step is inventory prep. So inventory prep is where you are going to gather all of your materials for this project. So you have a couple options. Typically, you can only get your inventory in two places. You can either get it from your inventory or you can order it. We're going to make that decision here. So I need 6 cool white minis. I have 30 of them in my inventory. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that from my inventory. So I click this button here that says pull from inventory. And then I need 1 wreath and 1 bow. I have negative number wreath, which should never happen to you if you're following it, but I have I have no wreath and I have no bow in my inventory. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place an order for it. Place an order and place an order. What I just did was I sent those items to one of 2 lists. The stuff that I need to pull from my inventory goes to the inventory list here, and the stuff that I need to order goes to my orders list here. So let's start with inventory. This is really basic. We now have a list of the things we need to pull from inventory. The status here says need to pull. That's my signal as the warehouse guy or whoever's getting ready for this project that says, okay, I need to go and pull this product and put it in a tote for Mr. Smith so that we can go ahead and do this. So when I do that, I can go ahead and hit check in, which tells me that I am done gathering this product out of my inventory. The other option is orders. So this now says I need to call and place an order for a 60-inch wreath and a 24-inch bow. So it tells you which vendor you put in there, so you know who to call and get it from. You can go ahead and hit mark as ordered. What I want to show you though is that you can do this on a project by project basis, like I'm showing you now, or after you send it to the different lists, you can actually go over to your inventory prep tab over here. You'll see those same 3 tabs, but this is with all of the projects in it. Excuse me. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go to my orders tab, and I'm going to search for, if I wanted to, I can search for John Smith here, filter that out, server error, of course. Ariane, make sure to take a look at that so we can fix that, please. But we can sort alphabetically if we wanted to and find John Smith down here. Or what I like to do is I like to sort by the item type. Sorting by the item type is huge in the orders situation, because what I can do now is I can go ahead and click mark as ordered, and this will now show me all of the other projects that need the same product that I'm ordering. So now I don't have to guess what other projects I need to order a 60-inch wreath for. I can go ahead and see them all in one shot, and I can go ahead and order them all in one shot. So obviously we only need one for this project. So I'm just going to click the check mark next to this project and click order. But let me show you what it looks like. Let me show you what it looks like if that's not the case. So if I go to C7 red here and I hit mark is ordered, now it shows me that I have 2 projects that need C7 reds. I need 100 for this project and 100 for this project. I can decide if I only want to order just for this project right now. I can decide if I want to order for both projects. So I click on both. It tells me how many I should order. Let's just say you can't order 200. You have to order 500. So I'm going to go ahead and click 500. All right, so this is how many I'm actually ordering. And I click on order. And I go back to my red. My status changed to order. I need 100 for this project. I ordered 100. I need 100 for this project. I ordered 400 just because it splits up the 500 that we ordered. So when this project comes in, I can go ahead and check it in. And when this one comes in, when I say comes in, that means it comes into your shop and then you allocate that material in the bin or whatever to go out on the truck for that installation. When this one comes in, I need 100, but I ordered 400. I can hit checked in and it's going to ask me what I want to do with those extra 300. Would you like to add those to your inventory? So of course I would. I'm not going to not add them to my inventory. So I go ahead and add them to my inventory. And now if I go back to my inventory tab and looked at the red, I have 300 additional than what I had before. All right. So explaining it sounds a little complicated. Running through this process should take you just a few minutes. It's super simple to do. At the end of the day, you need to make a decision if you're pulling it from your inventory or if you're ordering it, and then go to each of those tabs and then just do the ordering or pulling it. All right, so I'm going to go back to this project now. Let's make sure we got everything. Oh, so the wreath is ordered. Let's say it came in, put it aside. Now it's marked as checked in. And the bow I'm going to mark as ordered as well. And let's say that it arrived. We're going to check that in. The ultimate goal is to get everything checked in. When everything is checked in, it automatically moves you to the next stage, which is installation, because it knows you have all the products, you're ready to go to installation. Before we look at installation, there's one thing that's not on this pipeline here, which is scheduling. So it's not on the pipeline because everybody likes to schedule at different times. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and say, let's go over to the schedule and I'll explain how this works. So excuse me, when a proposal gets accepted, Tinsel automatically creates an installation queue item for that project and the removal queue item for that project. All right. The concept here is that the things in your installation queue need to be moved down to your calendar. So if it's an installation queue, that means it's an installation and it still needs to be scheduled. Same thing for the removal. And of course, we have a maintenance queue in here as well. So for the installation queue, we're going to go ahead and say, well, we have a couple options on how we can actually move this onto the schedule. If I know the date that I want to do this installation, I can just click the green button, pick the date. If I want to add a time, I uncheck all day and put a time in here. I'm just going to say that it's just a day. And then we pick the installers that are going to be on this job. All right, and I can click schedule, it'll move it down to the schedule. However, if there is, or if I don't know when I want to do that, what I can do is click on the map here. And this is going to show me a list of all of my jobs that we have to install. Obviously, you're not going to be all the way across the United States. This is just a demo account, so we have them all over. But this will show you all of the different things that you have to schedule here. So if I zoom in to my area, I can see a couple things. The up arrow means that it's an installation and it's scheduled. If I zoom in down on this project down here, it's an exclamation point. That means that it's not scheduled yet. So it's unscheduled. And I can go ahead and turn off the unscheduled installation stuff and only look at unscheduled removals. All right, so it'll show me all the unscheduled removals. You can filter this out however you want. I'm just going to stick with installation. So what I can do here is I can say, okay, this one and Let's go ahead and unschedule this. There we go. So I can say, okay, this job down here, this green one, and this pink one up here are close to each other. They're not in real life, but I can say they are. So what I'm going to do is click this little group, this little square here, and now I can draw a shape around any number of jobs. And I can schedule them all at the same time. So I'm going to pick this date and say we're going to do them on the 28th and apply that to all. And here's the list of jobs down here. I'm going to say that this crew is going to do it and apply that to all. And I'm going to go ahead and click on save. And now move both of those jobs onto that schedule for me. I'm also going to take this job and move it to that day, just so I can show you. So now I have 3 jobs on the schedule down here. And if I go ahead and click on the top half of the calendar day and scroll down a little bit, you'll see down here that we have, come on, go away. You'll see that we now have a couple options here. So I can rearrange these manually if I wanted to by just using these little arrows and rearranging the route. Or I can hit optimize route by shortest distance or fastest time. 99% of the time, shortest distance and fastest time are the same thing. All right, now that's going to show me, let's do this job first, this job second, that job in Iowa third. This is super helpful for routing your day. So that's pretty much everything we need to know for scheduling. You can also actually create custom events. So you can go ahead and just create an event that's not assigned to a client if you wanted to. So let's just say, you know, somebody called out, you can put that on here. Or if you want, you can pick a client and not pick a project. So let's just say sales call visit. You can do that, or you can go ahead and assign this custom schedule item to a project as well. All right. Any questions on scheduling so far? No. Awesome. All right. 8 o'clock. Okay. We're almost done, guys.
Zach, my question about the scheduling though, is if you have a new estimate, like somebody calls in, they want an estimate and you're trying to relay that to your sales team, where does that actually show?
So are you sending out a sales team scheduling it?
Yes.
So your best bet to do that, then if you go to your schedule, create a new custom event, and what you can do is you can assign it to the client that you're going to see. And if you've already created a project, when we do sales calls, we create the project already. And if possible, we have the Google image of their house already loaded up for them. So that when the salesman's on their way or whatever, they can kind of take a quick look at what they're looking at before they even get there and prepare. So what I would do is create a client, or sorry, yeah, create the client, populate them, or create a client, create a project, and then come here to new custom event and pick that client and pick that project from their list of projects. And then you could say sales call. All right, you can schedule with the date and time on here, and then you can pick the salesperson that's going to do it. So let's just say it's Friday and it's going to be, 12 p.m. And then for a duration, we could just say 1 hour. And then you go and schedule that. And then on Friday, we can look at this month, week, or day. So let's just go to week. On Friday at 12 p.m. We have a sales call at AC, and you can see that TJ's going to that. All right, and on the daily view, it's a very similar concept. Another cool feature for that salesperson would be to only filter and see their custom. So that they're only going to see the custom jobs. Okay, let's go back to the project. So job scheduled, we have all the material for the job. Now it's time to go and do the installation. There's not much to do in the CRM for installation because installation happens out on the job site. But what is helpful is an employee portal. So I'm going to open up my employee portal by just going to employee.app.tinselcrm.com. I know it's long, but if you just go to the regular login for Tinsel, below that you'll see a little thing that says Tinsel Employee Portal when you're going to log in. Now, the employee portal is optimized for a phone. So I'm going to shrink all this down all the way so it looks a little bit more like a phone. When somebody first logs in to the employee portal, they're going to be presented with their schedule. So they can filter this to see, essentially, I think it defaults to this week, Monday through Sunday. And it's going to be in order based on what you have on your schedule in the CRM. So if you optimize the route, they're going to know that this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. So there's no guesswork there. So let's go and click on John Smith, which is the project we've been working on this whole time. Click that. You're going to see the basic information like where they're going, the address. They're going to see a storage location. So if you are a company that has your installer is actually going and pulling existing clients like renewals, if they're the ones going to the warehouse or the storage unit and pulling that, they have a storage location listed here as well. Any notes associated with it that you put in the CRM will show up here. And this goes two ways. Your employees can also upload notes if they wanted to, and you'll see them back on the CRM. Time clock. So employees can, if you want, have them clock in to specific projects. But even more than that, all they need to do, even more than that, they can clock into what they're doing on that project. So for an installation, they can click on installation and click on clock in here. Below that is a list of all the features and feature items. So roof line, they're going to need 150 C9 warm whites. For the tree on the right side of the house, they're going to need their mini lights, 6 of those, and so on. When they do the actual installation, if you want, you can have them enter the actual quantities of what they used. This helps later on with just figuring out basically, are you quoting properly? So if you say, we're quoting 150 C9s for this job and we use 210, we severely underbid that. Why? Right? And then below that is the files. So all the files that we have for this project, not just the ones that we showed to the client. So here's our mock-up. Here's the original house photo. If you have an install map, you can put that in here as well. And you can do all of that. And again, this goes two ways. Your employees can upload files as well. So when the employee or the crew actually completes this installation, they come up here and click this complete installation button. And it'll say complete. Now, and that's all that's in that employee portal. It's very, very, very stripped back because it only needs to show the information to get the job installed, because this is built for the installers. All right, so once they click on project complete or installation complete, we go back to Tinsel. And if I just refresh this, you'll see I moved from the installation stage to the bases stage. All right, once they mark it complete, it changes the status back here. Bases. So bases is a checklist. Bases comes from the term covering your bases, baseball term. For us, what we like to do is after we do the installation, we wait a day or two and we call that client and say, hey, Mr. Smith, how was everything? Are you liking what you got? Is everything working properly? Do you need anything else from us? Being proactive instead of reactive, just making sure that we touch them before they touch us. That sounds very weird. Making sure we call them before they call us. And then what we also like to do for our bigger clients is we'll like to send them a holiday gift, bottle of wine, couple cookies, something like that. All right, so go ahead, put whatever you want in here. This can be set up in your settings. I showed you that in the beginning. This is where you would do that. You can also add custom one for a specific client. Like, I don't know, send this. All right, and this will just populate down the bottom. The next stage here is removals. When you are ready to do the removal, again, we have this thing down here with the actual quantities, because I personally like to have my guys count when they're doing takedown as opposed to install, because in install it's hurry up, everything's on fire, everything's important. But during takedown, it's not as crazy. So when the guys go back to do takedown, that's when I actually have them count everything. So we still have the option to put those numbers in here. And then storage location. When it gets back to the shop, you can put it wherever in your shop. I like that. This is just an open text box. So you're going to put here where this client's products are being stored for next season, so that when you come back to do this client next season, you can just look here and you know exactly where to go to get it. All right, so it's an open text box. I like to say row 7, shelf B, and there's 3 boxes. Click on the little check mark to save it. Done. All right, next stage and final stage is reviews. So you can now go ahead and click on send. We don't have a template in here, but in your settings, you can set up that template that I showed you earlier, where you can put a link to, your Google business page or your Facebook page, review, anywhere you want to get reviews. All right, once that's all done, I can mark this project as complete. All right, you'll see the status here changed to completed. All right, so that is the life cycle of every project. Took me a while to get through because I explained every single part of it, but it's not that complicated once you're actually in there and going. A couple last things I want to show you are project glance. This is just an overview of the 7 different stages of that project and anybody that's in each one of those stages at any given time. So in the beginning of the season, most of your people will be in this proposal, invoice, inventory prep stage. By the end of your season, everybody should be moved out of that into removals and reviews. And it's this is so that you don't forget anybody or leave anybody behind. Or what I like to use it for is when you're in the middle of a season and there's 10,000 things going on and you don't know what to do next, I like to come here and look at this page and say, where is the bulk of my people? If they're in inventory prep, I know now that I need to go ahead and place orders for material or pull them from my inventory and start getting them ready and moving them to the installation stage. If I have a whole bunch of people in the bases stage, then I'm going to go ahead and, pick up the phone and start calling Mr. Smith, Mrs. Jones, blah, blah, blah. How are you? And knocking them out and move them to the removal stage so that they're ready for removals. Time clock. Time clock will show you all of the entries. I don't think we have any in here. Worst demo account. Time clock will show you all of the entries for any given person, and you can, look at all of the or change the date range. And up here, of course, we don't have any to show you, but up here it's the same concept as what I showed you on the other map. When your employees clock in and out, it pings their location. So you can actually see where they're being clocking in and out from. And you can also see on the map, just like I showed you the route on the other map with the arrows and where it's all at, it'll actually draw that for you, showing you, hey, they clocked out here, or they clocked in here and they clocked out here, and there's going to be a line between those showing you kind of the direction of they were moving throughout the day. Reports. So we have a couple of reports in here, a little more than a couple actually. We're always adding more reports. If anybody wants anything custom or needs a very specific report, just reach out to our support team and let us know what you're looking for in that report, and we'll get that for you. Help, I already talked about this, but the help page right now links you to support page, where it has pretty much everything that you can do in Tinsel. You can figure that out through here. So if I want to, add a new contact to a client, I come in here. A lot of them have videos walking you through it, but there's always text documents here. Bug reports. This is changing to help desk very soon. If you need support or you notice a bug or you have a feature request, once this changes to help desk, you're going to be able to submit those right here inside of Tinsel. You'll be able to see all of your tickets that are open. You can follow the progress on them and things like that. So that'll all be in one place for you. I'm pretty sure I showed you guys everything there is to see. That being said, I'm going to open it up for questions. And before I do that, let me just take a peek back. Ariane, is there any unanswered questions in the chat?
None right now.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to open it up for questions. Guys, do me a favor, don't just jump right in. Raise your hand so that I can call on you and we don't have a bunch of people screaming at me. No questions. Anybody? Nothing? I think they're all sleeping on me. No questions. Nobody. Either I did a really good job of explaining things or I put you all to sleep. Okay, if there's no questions, I'll end this call. If anybody does have any questions, you can always feel free to email support@tinselcrm.com. So if you have any questions, email support@tinselcrm.com. And again, once the help desk button shows up in there, which should be in the next week or so, funnel all of your support through there. This way you can track all of your progress and you can see all the open tickets and we can reply right to them. All right, guys, thank you for coming. If you have any questions, again, support@tinselcrm.com. I wish you guys all a great season. Take care now.
Thanks, Zach. Have a good night, sir.
Thanks, Jacob. All right, we're back with Daniel's questions. Go for it, Daniel.
Okay, I've got a list of them. Feel free to interrupt if it's something you answered. Sorry, I was just doing emails the whole time. Didn't have.
Yeah, no worries.
Couldn't. Okay. One of them is for inventory prep. So we like to pre-bulb patterns for lights. I see you nodding your head. Do you know where this is going, or?
So I may, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So when we're new to Tinsel, we were testing it this year, and we were trying to figure out how to use the inventory prep section to tell us how to prep inventory, basically. One of the things that we were thinking is it at all possible to have inventory SKUs that transform into other inventory SKUs? Specifically, you take 1,000 of these, 1,000 clips, sockets, bulbs, and you say, okay, now I have 1,000 prepared sun warm whites, 12-inch spacing with the tough clips.
Okay, so sure, couple ways to do that. When you put, so what I showed earlier was I just put C9s on a proposal. I did not put C9s plus socket plus clip. I didn't put sockets and clips and all that stuff on the proposal. What I do is my C9s and my pricing for my C9s encompasses the socket, the clip, the bulb. So for C9, for example, if I go ahead and let me pull up my inventory and share my screen again.
All right.
So if I go to C9 and look at my warm white C9, my price on a C9 plus socket plus clip should be something like, I don't know, let's just say 125. So I will put that in there, and I'm pricing per the foot, so I'm just going to say it's $8 per foot, and that includes all of that. So that's number one. Or you can put your sockets and clips and all that stuff on the proposal if you wanted to. I don't recommend it. And then what I also do in the background is I also have my clips. So we use tough clips. So I have my tough clips. These don't go on my proposals, but I still track them in my inventory. And what I do is the same thing as you do. We pre-bulb like mostly everybody else. And so what I would do is I say I have 5,000 tough clips in my inventory. When I go to pre-bulb, let's say a spool, let's just say I go to pre-bulb 500 feet. I'm going to come in here and manually go ahead and say I'm taking 500 out of this. And click on save. It deducts that 500 from the 5,000, which is now 4,500. And what that allows me to do is still track, and so I know, or I can look in here and see how many I actually have in inventory, so I can go ahead and say I need to order more, and be alerted if I have this listed as a stock item. I'll be alerted when my stock falls below the stock warning level. Right, so this allows me to go ahead and say, okay, I could still track this, but I don't have to put it on the proposal. I would only do this for, or what I do it for is clips. And then I don't think this is the demo account, so I don't think I have a spool on here, but that's not how you spell spool. Okay, so I put for clips, I have my zip lines that come on 500-foot spools. So I track them as 500-foot spools. We always have them on the truck, and when a truck's running low, they come in, they grab more. So every time they grab another one, or they ask for another one, I have my warehouse guy come in here and say, okay, we're sending one of these out the door. Go ahead and take that off of there. So I could still track my inventory without having to put it on a proposal. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and we discussed different ways that we could do it here, and I was pretty against manual editing of the stock. One, you kind of lose the checks and balances of like, yeah, you could just fat finger something, and
Yeah, so
there's
one of the things we're doing
ranking.
to overcome that is we're going to have logs, or logs to see, number one, all these edits that were made. That's coming soon. But another thing that we could do is you can, and this probably won't happen right away, but a little bit down the line, is go ahead and create what we'll call an inventory report, where you can, say new transaction, inventory transaction report, new transaction, and then say we're taking 5 of these, we're taking 10 of these, we're taking 12 of these, and then run that transaction, and it goes through and deducts it from your inventory. But you'll have a log or a history of those transactions, so if you do fat finger one, you'll know. You can always go back and just edit it and fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I have, and sorry, I didn't hear, who does the coding behind the scenes again? Was that you or not you?
So I'm the visionary, I guess we can say. I'm the Christmas light guy that knows everything about the Christmas light industry. Ariane's one of our main developers. I think she might still be on the call with us. And we have a couple others as well, but Ariane's one of our main developers now.
Okay, great. Yeah, and then Ariane, if you're listening and you want to chip in, I'd love to hear how it looks on the back end. If it's possible to set things up so that you can combine the SKUs, like I said, here would be an example of why you would want to do that. It's not okay. In our other CRM, we were struggling with this, so I haven't seen a perfect solution yet, but it would be nice to. Sometimes you have you have your socket line, you have your different bulbs, and then you have different types of clips. You might have your ridge clips, your ground stakes, maybe no clips, or just your normal tough clips. Anyways, so it would be useful to be able to do that easily, just in general. It would really help the whole inventory feature be more useful.
So
Yeah,
what I do as well, and again, this is a workaround for now, but I get where you're going. What I also do is if we do anything with ground stakes, we have that as an inventory item and that would go on the proposal so that we know. I don't even have them in this one. Stakes. Let me see if they're in there. Stakes. I don't know.
yeah, you have
Yeah,
lawn
you would
stakes
just
there.
you would just put it in the proposal, so that my guys know, hey, before we leave the shop, they check their list of all the stuff they need. And if they see C9, they're just going to assume that it's a tough clip. But if they see the stake, they'll know they need to grab them stake. So C9s typically always come out with tough clips, but if it's stake stuff, then obviously they'll grab the stakes as well.
Gotcha. And I do plan on skimming through the video again. So if it's something you've addressed, just let me know.
Yep.
I have a question here. What if you have multiple installers? Let's see. Let me see if I can. Daniel, are you listening? Okay. Sorry, I'm just talking to someone else in the office here. Are you in the Zoom call? Do you want to join with voice? We'll both ask the questions. So they're recorded. Sorry, guys.
Daniel, just to let you know, I only have about another 10 minutes. We actually have to head to I'm actually doing an install tonight. But if we don't get there,
Gotcha.
if we don't get there,
Yeah.
we can schedule another call and we can jump on for sure.
Yeah, I have been meaning to schedule one with you. Okay, I guess quick question and thanks for letting me know. I'll try to respect your time. For the mockup feature, is there do you guys talk about doing like a dynamic mockup feature where let's say there's like 3 options, people click different ones and the picture changes to reflect that?
No, but I love that idea. I think we heard somebody suggested that, and I do love that idea. Hey, you son of a bitch, my dog just peed. But no, I love that idea. We have to figure out how to link those things together.
Sure. A quick thought would be to design it with layers and
Yeah, I get it.
yeah, to define the layers. And then right now when you look at the quote, the images are all below. If it would be possible to have the image stick with the line item. You guys probably know that one.
Also, the images won't be with the line item ever because the line
No.
item doesn't necessarily, well, if we do that, move to that feature, then yeah, but another thing that everybody's talking about is moving those images to the top. So it's the first thing they see and also including it in the email, which
Gotcha.
are things that are already in the works.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I thought we'd go over our questions quickly before I'll just schedule something for you later. But last thing I do want to say is we tried to design everything like as foolproof for our customers as possible. So every single way so far that we've ever designed quotes, they have not been foolproof. And yeah, I think it would be a really good selling feature for Tinsel if you could make it foolproof.
What does that mean?
Well, one of the ways to make it foolproof would be, like I said, whatever you click, the image changes. So someone can't say, oh, well, I was looking at that picture and I clicked that other thing. I really wanted this, but I paid for that,
Sure.
and there's a lot of other things, but I will schedule a more prepared phone call with you when you have more time. All right. Thanks, Zach.
Absolutely. So my email is admin@tinselcrm.com. So if you want to schedule a call, just shoot me an email. We can definitely jump on a call. I'd be happy to I definitely want to hear all of your feedback, good or bad, because it's the only way that we continue to grow. And also I'm happy to answer any questions for you as well.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.
You got it, Daniel. Take care.